This is Gurvey's Law. Michelle, where have you been? You've been gallivanting around the world. I haven't seen you.
Yes, I just came back from a camping trip in Utah, and it made me all the more grateful for my warm bed and hot shower here in Los Angeles. I was literally camping out.
You were camping out.
No service.
And I can't believe that because you're really into, I don't know, how would you describe what you like? The luxury world, the life of...
I like the nice things in life, you know?
You're into makeovers, that's for sure. I know that.
Oh, totally.
And when you talk about being out in the cold or in the wild, toughing it out, that is not you. But I will tell you something. You are going to learn something today with our guest because he knows all about it. He's made a life of toughening it out, of all kinds of. Well, we're going to talk about a makeover, but it's really an important makeover. The commitment that he's had to the human condition, to helping people, and to serving our country is bar none. It is above anyone else that you, in your limited years, can I say that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a respectful way.
Respectful. Have ever come across. Have you ever heard of the Montel Williams show, Michelle?
No, to be honest, no. But
It was before you were born.
Yes, well... Yes, actually it was. But I did enjoy my views of daytime TV. I find them very interesting. It's very different nowadays, daytime TV versus back then when I was a lot younger.
Well, we can find that out. But, back in the day, and it was for 17 years, from 1991 to 2008, Montel Williams was the man. I mean, there was Oprah Winfrey, of course, and there were a couple of others. We don't want to talk about it. Actually, Jerry Springer, who was on our show few years ago and unfortunately passed away, which breaks my heart. But there were a lot of shows that you missed, and it was great. That's what we should be doing with our youth, to teach them to be disciplined and to teach them about other people's lives. And Montel Williams did it. He's a Daytime Emmy Award winner, outstanding talk show host. I mean, he's got a lot of credits that you have no idea about, but you can ask him about it. And he has done so much more helping the military. He's got a long history, U.S. Naval Academy, Marine Corps. He's been an advocate for our veterans, for mental health, for all kinds of things that he's experienced. He's MS diagnosis, 1999, which he's turned his life around. So he's really an inspiration to so many. He is a best-selling author. His newest book that came out, we'll talk about that a little bit later, Sailing of the Intrepid, has been doing really wonderfully well. Great reviews. We'll talk about it. He was on our show about 3 years ago, I would say 3.5 years ago, August 2022. Montel Williams, welcome back to Gurvey's Law.
Back.
Oh, we can't hear you. Are you there, Montel?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes,
there you go.
There you are.
It's funny. You just called me sir, and I want to tell you something, Montel. You called me sir 3 years ago, and I said I really like the respect. No one has called me sir since you were on our show 3 years ago. So thank you for that. I am feeling good right now. And look at what you've been doing. I mean, it's incredible how many things that you have done that have helped people over the years, and especially now. How many years has it been with Military Makeover?
We now are I'm in my 8th year or 7th year of the show. The show's been around for almost 14. We're on our 44th family that starts airing this next week. And it's just been unbelievable.
That is a lot of seasons. What do you think it is about this show that resonates so much with viewers?
Well, I think, we have for the longest time in this country gotten used to the lip service phrase of thank you for your service. And a lot of people just let those words roll off their lips and really don't try to find meaning behind them other than it's a passing soldier that say that. Mm-hmm. But, a little bit more than just say thank you. We do thank you. We literally take the homes of veterans, and most of which have been combat veterans, who they've had a house and they lived in it. They own their house. But what we do is we step in and we turn that house into a forever home for them. We do a makeover from the ground up. I'm telling you, everything from yards to roofs to bathrooms to ceilings to kitchens to new furniture to new HVAC to new electrical equipment in the house. And we tried to make that house, a place that's a comfort zone for them.
A home.
And it's been extremely rewarding because the families react. What we do is we pick the family, or the family is selected, and then we kick them out of the house for 7 to 10 days. And in the 7 to 10 day period of time, they come back home to a completely refurbished home. And we welcome them back on our big reveal day. And if you saw their faces when they walk through their home, it's just filled with tears, love, and thank yous.
How much do you actually have to do with the makeover itself, Montel? You say that they leave their home. Do you actually get in there? Do you get on your hands and knees, or are you supervising, or are you just waiting to have them come back?
I'm the team leader, and we have Jennifer Bertrand, who is our stylist, and we have a guy named Art Edmonds, who helps go around the community. One thing about what we do is that's different than a lot of other shows is that we rely very heavily on the community and sponsors and people who basically give us everything we need. And that includes, we have volunteers from the community that show up. They do the digging, they do the painting, they do the scraping, they do the nailing. We have people, some vendors will drive by and go, oh, that's that military makeover house. Let me go see what I can do. Especially like with this house, the Lynn family, that is our most recent one that airs, this Friday at 7:30 in the morning on Lifetime. And we air every Friday morning on Lifetime. This family, a vendor was driving by and recognized what we were doing, and they walked up and said, look, we run a company that does home play areas. We'll build a playground for him, for his kids, because the Lynn family has 3 kids and another one on the way. And they put in almost a $35,000 play area. And it looks like something that's out of a community place.
Wow.
Huge in the back of the yard.
That's amazing.
And they just did that because they wanted to give back to the veterans.
That's amazing. Yeah, it seems like your entire life is really centered around service. Is that what the new book that you're releasing is about as well?
Oh, my new book just came out, and it's been out now for about 2 months. It's called Sailing of the Intrepid, but this is a book, I don't know if you know, or you and Alan know anything about the Intrepid aircraft carrier that sits along the west side of the highway.
Absolutely.
Well, a lot of people don't know that that's one of probably the most iconic ship in our U.S. military history, Navy history. The ship literally survived what most would say the unsurvivable. After being commissioned in 1944, its first mission was in the North Pacific, and it went up to the North Pacific to inflict damage against Truk and against one of the Marshall Islands. And after having battled 2 very successful battles that, literally gave the Japanese 2 of their biggest setbacks in the war, as it was leaving Truk Lagoon, it was struck in the rudder, single torpedo. And the rudder was lodged about in approximately a 45-degree angle, which was forcing the ship to careen out of control, going around in circles. It almost hit the one of the sister ships that was in the battle group. And instead of doing what they initially thought they were going to have to do, and that would be scuttle the ship so that it would not give the Japanese a victory, the captain and some ingenious members of the crew got together and they realized that if we rely upon the oldest technology in sailing, which is the sail, and this was one of the biggest ships the U.S. military had ever produced at this point in time, they decided that because of the damage to the rudder, if they hung a sail off the front of the ship, the bow of the ship, it could counterbalance the effect of the winds and the waves that were pushing it out of control. And they were able to steer the ship back from the North Pacific almost 3,000 plus miles back to Hawaii, where it was then temporarily fixed with a makeshift rudder, sent up to Northern California, up by San Francisco, to dry dock, repaired over about a 3-month period of time, went back in the battle, got struck by 2 kamikazes.
Jeez.
One of the first ships to be struck by kamikazes, had to limp itself back into dry dock, repaired, came back in the battle, got struck again by 2 more kamikazes.
How long did that take, Montel, for that whole thing when they went to dry dock, then go out and come back? How long was that?
Over the course of that, almost 2.5 years.
Gee.
Went in and out of dry dock 3 times, ended up surviving the war, helped us survive the war, served in Korea, served in Vietnam, then went on to serve as the first capsule recovery ship for NASA. And then before it was literally going to be mothballed and turned into scrap, Zachary Fisher of the Fisher Brothers Foundation out of New York convinced a group of people to get together to buy it. They convinced Mayor Koch to let them turn it into what it is today, the Aeronautical, Space, and Land Museum, along the West Side Highway in New York City.
How did you become interested in this story? It's a fascinating story, and I'm going to read a couple of reviews about the book in a moment, but you know, it's not something that people generally know, and especially getting in depth into how it was repaired and all of the ins and outs of the ship. How did you, Montel Williams, who was doing, military makeover, doing all of this stuff, you've got podcasts going, you're writing a book about the Intrepid?
Well, very, very interesting. I had probably spent 20 days on the Intrepid at different times. Sometimes during my career as a talk show host, and I went back to visit multiple times without just kind of a nut for Navy history. And I enjoyed being on the ship and thought it was a story that needed to be told for many years. And then David Fisher, who is my collaborator, was getting ready to do a new book and was considering the Intrepid as the story, reached out to me because some other people had told him that, Montel was really interested in the ship. And when we talked and said, why don't we get together and do this? And he said, yeah, I love it. And so, between the two of us, we literally helped to, I'm a board member of what's called Fisher House, and Ken Fisher is currently the CEO of the Intrepid Foundation. So I reached out to Ken and said, Ken, is there any way you can get some access to the ship? And he just basically gave us access.
I'm sure he was only too happy to give you the access. And, when you put this book together, the reviews have been really, really great. And I think a lot of people didn't know the story, wanted to know the story, but not only that, they want to hear about the ship. And here's a couple of reviews. A fascinating true story of the life, salvation, and legacy of the ship, a must for Navy fans and students of the Second World War. Another person writes, learned things I never knew about the ship as I read the book. Any sailor or former sailor should read this well-written history book. And then another one saying this book is great for anyone interested in American history. And I think that's the point here. You don't have to be a sailor. You don't have to be, fascinated with ships. I think the American history behind it just tells a real story and tells about the human condition, something that you've been so interested in, not only through the Navy, but also through life itself.
Absolutely. And it's a ship that really talks about, courage and talks about, things that we don't seem to talk a lot about these days. And I think, the idea, just because it's history, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. So it's a good thing to revisit those times in our past that make us who we are today. I will tell you that the book made it to the top of Amazon's one of Amazon's bestseller list, and also recently it was selected by Amazon as its #1 history release about a month ago. So you can get it up on Amazon. It's doing well, and we are in some conversations right now because there are some people who looked at it and realized that, first off, the Intrepid sees about 1.5 million visitors every year in New York from all over the world who go and walk the decks and walk around and take a look at the museum. So we've now been approached by some pretty prominent Hollywood types who are considering optioning the book for possibly a movie.
Oh, wow. Well, that's right up your alley. You've been in a number of movies and on television, so that might be a natural progression from the book to the movie. Good luck with that, and congratulations for the sailing of the Intrepid, the incredible wartime voyage of the Navy's iconic aircraft carrier, which, as you said, is available at Amazon or wherever you get your books. I think a lot of people will enjoy reading that. But it's interesting because you always weave into all of your projects, people, and what I said, the human condition. You talk about, last time I think you told me that you felt that there's a lot of narcissists in the world. I think you said 85% of the U.S. and, are narcissists. And I'm thinking 3 years have gone by, and guess what? I've experienced so much of that, and I keep thinking of your message. And I'm wondering, how do you come to those conclusions? And more importantly, how do we turn around narcissists so they are, more altruistic and they're giving and they're interested in helping the human condition, where a lot of people have been down and out that need that kind of help?
Well, I got to tell you, take a look at what's going on right now in our, our zeitgeist. We live in a country right now where the government is shut down. And it's shut down not because we, the people, want to shut down. It's shut down because we, our narcissistic leaders, want it shut down. And that's all. I'm not talking about any individual leader. I'm talking about all of them, both sides. There are people who have dug in on their side, not willing to stop for a minute and, take a look at another person's plight or another person's angle. I'll give you something I've been talking about for quite a long time. Do you remember, both of you, I'll ask you both, do you know what a beach ball looks like?
I do.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what a beach ball looks like.
Michelle can do it. She spent a lot of time on the beach.
I have, yes.
What is a beach ball?
So what is a beach ball?
Inflatable. It's an inflatable ball with stripes,
okay,
usually.
Tell me about the panels on it.
Yeah, it has a couple panels.
And it has how many? 6 panels, but go ahead. 6 panels. And what color are they?
Usually red and white, no?
No. Most beach balls have 6 colors on them.
Multicolor.
They're all multicolors. So let's just say I'll make one up. And lots of beach balls are different colored. But let me make one up for you real quick. Let's say that we have a beach ball that is white, red, blue on one side. And then on the other side, it's green, let's say yellow, and black. Okay? So now, if I hold the beach ball in my hand and I have it facing you, Michelle, and one half of it's facing me, the half you're looking at, maybe, let's say it's black, red, and white. The half I'm looking at is yellow, green, and blue. Okay?
Right.
So black, red, white, yellow, green, blue. If you're staring at your side of the beach ball and I say to you, what color do you see, Michelle? What color do you see?
I would say I see black, red, and white, I believe. Yeah.
Right. And then I would say, no, this beach ball is yellow, green, and blue. And you'd say back to me, no, it's black, red, and white. And I'll say back to you again, it's yellow, green, and blue. If I just turn it one panel, all of a sudden your beach ball becomes red, white, blue. Mine becomes black, yellow, and green. Right?
Yeah.
If I turn it the other direction, one panel, mine becomes yellow, black, or yours becomes yellow, black, and red. Mine becomes green, black, and white. So what I'm trying to point out is the fact that all we have to do is take a little bit of a step to the right or left, or just look at the other person's perspective for 1 second, and we see something entirely different. Why can't we as human beings do that on a daily basis?
Yeah, you're right. We're very narrow-minded nowadays, and I'm not sure exactly what it's going to take in order to shift the beach ball around and change our perspective. But you know what? I appreciate the work that you do in terms of mental health, because I think it can all start there, getting your mind right in order to be open to new points of views. I know you work a lot on PTSD, and I liked what you said earlier about you don't know where you're going unless you look back to where you've been. Could you share with me a key lesson that you learned in your times of service that you use as a civilian today?
Well, without a doubt, I have always kept the perspective that I alone own the definition of who I am, meaning No one else has the ability to define what my abilities are except for me. So I don't live down to someone else's expectations. I always try to live up to my own. Mm-hmm. When you were talking about I work with mental health, I've been working on a project now for almost 14 years, along with a team of doctors who've been working on it for even longer. And this project is called RTM, Reconsolidation of Traumatic Memories. It's a process that is right now should be considered the go-to treatment for PTSD in the world. You remember a couple of weeks ago in Texas, I think it was Keller, Texas, there was a flood down there.
Right.
Remember? And lots of children died. As a matter of fact, they're calling the group that passed away, the Heavenly 27.
Yeah, it's more than a couple of weeks ago, but
that's right.
It was a few months ago. And interestingly enough, this morning, my 11-year-old daughter was going on a school trip, and she was going up to the Ojai area, and they were going to a beach. And she kind of looked at me and said, should I be scared about this? And it's to what you're talking about. That was publicized, what happened in Texas, and a whole new generation's eyes are open to these kind of dangers that, exist in our world.
Correct. Well, now the state of Texas has employed the RTM protocol to help treat some of the family members of the survivors, or the surviving family members, who are suffering on a daily basis with PTSD from that incident that took place. And I'm happy to report that, we've treated about 37 individuals in the Austin in the Dallas and Houston area. And this protocol is so profound that 9 out of every 10 people who go through it remit 100% of their symptoms of PTSD in 5 to 10 hours with no medication.
How can people learn more about this RTM? Because it sounds fascinating.
You can go up on what's called R&R. That's R, the word and, A-N-D, randrproject.org. And it's all there for you laid out.
And what's your involvement with R&R?
I've been an ambassador trying to get this thing, accepted across the board. Right now it is working. They're utilizing it in Poland and the Ukraine. They're utilizing it in Texas right as we speak. We've had multiple other countries reach out asking for the protocol to be brought down to them. I'm working to try to get this thing, accepted across the board and implemented, because the cost for this protocol is so much less than the standard treatments that utilize a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And repetitive, very, 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 very harmful and scary. I shouldn't say harmful, but very scary and some intolerable methods in the way they do their talk therapy. This is really 5 to 10 hours, and most people want to try to continue it even longer.
We only have a few more minutes, but
sure.
A lot of people suffering from PTSD, and I'm going to use that as a segue to because of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Everyone saw it on video, on social media. You say that the assassin was driven by love, not politics. Is this something like the beach ball? You turn the beach ball one way and you see love versus politics?
When I said that, let me make sure I get this very clear. I in no way, shape, or form was trying to take away from any of the angst that people have of Charlie Kirk's death. I was merely trying to explain that it isn't always as black and white as everybody would like it to be. We're in a place in time right now where everything has to be, dwindled down to hate on one side or the other. I'm just saying that mental health issues in our country are so rampant that we have to start to make sure we understand what the true motivations are of people who are committing some of the crimes that are being committed these days. And in that particular case, I was just trying to say, it isn't as black and white as saying that a Democrat did it or a Democrat made him do it or a liberal made him do it. No, this is an individual who is driven by a multitude of deep-seated personal psychological issues. And we need to start looking at those in greater depth before we start pointing fingers. I
only have a minute, Montel, but I really subscribe to that theory. I mean, I think people try to make things black and white, and certainly they aren't. And the more we understand about the human condition, the mind, and, all the different factors that go into decision making, the more we'll have sympathy and empathy for people who are suffering. And that's something that you've been doing for so long. We appreciate all of the work that you've done, the service. I'm not going to say thank you for your service. I will not say that because I don't want it to be vacuous. But Military Makeover with Montel on Lifetime, the new book, Sailing the Intrepid, on Amazon, and you have a couple of podcasts as well.
Actually, I have a podcast. It's called Let's Be Blunt with Montel and Free Thinking with Montel. And the new episode of the new season of Military Makeover starts on November 14th, 7:30 a.m. Eastern and Pacific Time on Lifetime. It's season number 44, and this is the Lynn family, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to get blown away. We had a Hyundai came in and gave them a car.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Incredible. We got to watch that. It's the Lynn family. Montel, thanks again. We appreciate you coming back on Gurvey's Lawn. Good luck with all of your very, very worthwhile endeavors.
Thank you so much, sir. You guys stay well. Love the family of yours, and I'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.